Hi everyone, Petrik here. Today's video will be something a bit different. For today's video, I have decided to do my bookish pet peeves. This is my Patreon's video of the month, and I actually have quite a lot of bookish pet peeves, but for today's video, I want to focus solely on my bookish pet peeves surrounding publishers' decision regarding cover art and cover design. I want to make it clear that these are just my opinions, although it will be great if some of you actually feel the same as I do, but it's not mandatory. We are all different people and it's totally okay to feel differently. And thinking about it, these are supposed to be small things, but sometimes they doesn't feel really small. They drives me crazy and I genuinely don't understand why these stuff keeps on happening. And the first one is obviously cover change. Now, to be honest, I'm 50-50 on this, because cover change sometimes can lead to great things. If the previous cover art is, well, let's say it doesn't capture a lot of people's attention, maybe it deserves a new cover art. For example, Heroes Die by Matthew Woodring-Stover. This book is an amazing book. I didn't pick up this book for a very long time just because of the horrible cover art. I hate it. This cover art looks so bad. It is a fact that cover art sells books. I mean, if not, why bother putting a cover art? And I honestly believe that if Heroes Die receive a cover change, it will lead to a better sales because the inside of this book is amazing. But what's the point if no one will pick up the book, right? But cover change usually doesn't happen quite often in traditionally published books. Cover change, from my observation, usually happens when a self-published book decided to transition into a traditionally published book. Now, there are great and bad examples that come from this. Great example, in my opinion, would be The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. So The Shadow of What Was Lost was originally self-published, and this is the cover art. This is the cover art of the self-published edition, and after it got picked up by Orbit, it received a new cover art and it looked like this. The new cover art, in my opinion, triumphed over the self-published edition in every possible way. I love this cover art so much, and when you line this up with the second and third book, they look absolutely gorgeous. Dominic Saponaro, the cover artist to this one, did a fantastic job on the cover art. Another great example is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This is the self-published edition. To be honest, the cover art to the self-published edition of The Rage of Dragons looks really great already. But after it got picked up by Orbit, the new cover art looked like this, and it is done by Carla Ortiz. In my opinion, it looked even better. So that's a great example of a good cover change. But what about the bad examples? I have shown this example on this channel before, but I'm going to do it again because this cover art just hurts so much. This is the self-published edition of The Grey Bastards by Jonathan French. After it got picked up by a traditional publishers, it looked like this. What is this monstrosity? It looks so bad. This is one of the worst cover change I've ever seen. From this gorgeous cover art done by Raymond Swanland, which is very fitting for the book, by the way, to this. Come on. Then there's also the mid-series cover change. This is what happens when the third or fourth book of a series decided to do a cover change, and those who have collected the first and second book now won't have the opportunity to collect the series in the matching cover art. For example is The Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. So for The Dandelion Dynasty, the first book is The Grace of Kings and the second book is Wall of Storms. Both The Grace of Kings and The Wall of Storms in the US and UK edition at first have the same cover art done by Sam Weber. But the third book, The Veiled Throne, has taken years. It has taken years to come out. I think Wall of Storms came out in 2016 and The Veiled Throne will come out next year. So that means it will be 5 years since Wall of Storms before the sequel come out. And now apparently the UK edition won't have a matching cover anymore because Head of Zeus, the UK publishers, have decided to do a new cover art for The Dandelion Dynasty. So this is the US edition to The Veiled Throne. It has been revealed and it's done again by Sam Weber, one of my favorite cover artists, and this is one of my favorite cover art. Honestly, it looked amazing. It looked amazing. I have pre-ordered this one and I cannot wait to own it. But the UK edition will have a new cover art and it looked like this. So for readers who have collected the first two books in UK edition with the same cover art as the US edition, they will not have a matching edition, at least not in hardcover anymore. And that's insanely annoying. And lastly, on the topic of cover change is the change to a movie or TV series edition. I guess I understand that the purpose of this cover change is to gain a lot of readers' attention who got into the series from watching the TV series or watching the movie adaptation, but still they never look good. They always look inferior. So that was my first pet peeve. The second one is on misaligned cover design. Cover design usually means the typographies and the look of the spines. I really hate it when the spines of a series doesn't match. A great example of this is the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. So this is what my copies look like. Look at the Way of Kings and the Words of Radiance. They match, right? And Tor Books, the US publisher, decided to do a new typography for Book 3 and Book 4. See? They doesn't match with Book 1 and Book 2, and it's annoying. Fortunately for the Stormlight Archive, my friend Esme has shown that the edition that she bought, I think these are new additions to the Way of Kings and Words of Radiance, actually match now with Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. They look so beautiful, they look so much better than the editions that I have. And speaking of misaligned cover design, there is again another example on this, and it is for The Expanse. I think this applies only to the US edition. At least on my UK paperback edition, this doesn't happen. But for the US edition, for the first 3 books, the titles are bigger. And this applies to the spine as well. But for the 4th book and so on, the author and the series has gotten so much more popular, and the publisher decided to do a switch. So starting from the 4th book and so on, for the US edition of The Expanse, the author's name is bigger than the titles. It's the other way around from the first 3 books, and that's so annoying. By the way, speaking of authors' popularity influencing a book design, I must say that Christopher Paolini or their publishers have the biggest confidence in his name. I mean, just look at this. What is this? Paolini written by Paolini in a series called Paolini to be published by Paolini? But apparently I was wrong. I checked the US edition, apparently it is Paolini written by To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Okay, seriously speaking, this is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars written by Paolini, but come on, not even George R.R. Martin, Tolkien, or Brandon Sanderson has this kind of spine treatment. Paolini, there is nothing else. The sheer confidence is amazing. My third pet peeve is the decision to use real model and real person as the cover art. I really don't like this. I don't mind characters on the cover art as long as they're illustrated. I don't mind. Kings of the Wild and Bloody Rose have seriously gorgeous cover art. Then there is also the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, which again featured characters in their cover art, and they look magnificent to me. But the example that I'm talking about is again something like The Grey Bastards by Jonathan French. This uses real person, and I don't like it. Another example is the Rhyria Revelations, or the first 2 books in the Rhyria Chronicles. These cover art look so bad, and they look nothing like the description of the characters. I'm just not a fan of real people appearing on fantasy cover art. And the 4th pet peeve that I'm going to talk about is a very obvious one. It is stickers. I don't like stickers on cover art. I don't know why they continue to do this, but removable stickers are still okay. For example, Red Rising Barnes Noble Edition. It looked like this, and I removed the sticker on my copies. The biggest problem, however, is when a sticker on a cover art is impossible to remove. A good example of this is the Way of Kings paperback edition. I mean, come on, this is a cover art by Michael Whelan. Why you do this? And there is another example of this. It is for M.R. Carey's books, the writer behind The Girl with All the Gifts. So The Girl with All the Gifts is a very popular book. And this popularity apparently made the publishers decide to put a sticker that shows that he is the writer behind The Girl with All the Gifts on his other books, and they are impossible to remove, so they look like this. I don't like that one, and thankfully I don't see this quite often now. And the final bookish pet peeve that I want to talk about regarding cover art and cover design is different sizes. So I was talking to Sarah from Sarah Reads yesterday about The Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham, a great underrated series. Speaking of underrated, Sarah is also an underrated booktuber, and I think you guys should check out her channel if you haven't. And she told me that she doesn't want to get the new omnibus edition, which consists of the entire Long Price Quartet in one thick book. So I told her that I have the previous omnibus edition, which divides the series into 2 volumes of omnibus. The first omnibus is called Shadow and Betrayal, and the second omnibus is called The Price of War, and they look fantastic. But the issue, however, is that their sizes are different. See? So yeah, that's it from me today. These are my 5 bookish pet peeves surrounding cover art and cover design. And I hope that traditional publishers will do a better job on this starting from now. And to be fair, I think they are getting better at this now. I really don't see these issues happening frequently now. So what do you think about the bookish pet peeves I just mentioned? Do you agree with me or do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts on the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching and thank you for your support. Bye bye.